Fabelmans is directed by Steven Spielberg and tells the story of young Sammy Fabelman, who is a kid who wants to become a filmmaker one day, and when he discovers the family secret kept by his mother, he must figure out whether he could use his talents for the benefits of himself or for the benefits of the people around him. This is a semi-autobiography of Steven Spielberg's life, and I found it to be quite an interesting film to watch. And it really did feel like we were looking through the lens of Steven Spielberg and his home life and what it was like. There are a lot of scenes here that reminded me of a whole lot of documentary interviews where Steven Spielberg talked about his life before filmmaking as a young adolescent or a kid wanting to become a filmmaker. Sure, it's more fictionalized, it doesn't go exactly the same way, and clearly some of the characters here aren't exactly who they were in real life, but for the most part, I actually found that to be in the benefit of the film itself, because it was able to still feel like its own movie without feeling too self-indulgent within the real life story of its filmmaker that's kind of about. And with that, it was able to feel honest about the passions of becoming a filmmaker and what it means for someone who wants to reach that goal. And seeing the struggles that Sammy goes through in order to get to that achievement, I found very interesting, and in some ways I was able to connect to his journey. Maybe not about his family life, that's a different story, but his journey to be a filmmaker and to prove everyone that he's able to do this. That's not just a fun little hobby, but an actual passion that he has. I found very engaging, not just because I was able to relate to it, but because the film was able to present it in a very authentic and realistic way that I was able to latch onto this aspect of the story. Also, the secondary plot with Sammy's family and how that family life is starting to crumble, I found very sad, and it conflicts with Sammy's journey pretty well, and it creates a neat little conflict with the character about what he's able to use his passion for and how he could possibly help others around him. And that is explored further with some of the kids he meets in school, the friends and girlfriend he makes throughout his life, and how his filmmaking skills was able to affect those around him in sometimes either a negative or a positive light. And I just found that aspect of the story very much brilliant and very engaging, and it was able to help me care more about Sammy's journey. Just overall, the story itself never felt too self-indulgent or just so full of itself. It was able to feel grounded, real. It was easy to digest, and I cared about all the characters, including Sammy's mother. Michelle Williams and Paul Dano give great performances in this movie, and the grandfather character and the actor who plays him in a brief scene was very fantastic and was quite possibly my favorite scene in the entire film. Also, the actor who plays Sammy himself in the movie was really good. He was a very grounded kid. He felt authentic. I cared for him. His performance overall just was more calm. He wasn't as loud as many of the other characters, but that closeted side to the character I found very much a nice little, how do I say it? It was a nice contrast to the rest of his family, who are very out there, while he is more silent, more thinking about stuff in his mind instead of talking things out loud, as he's much better expressing himself through the power of film. And a lot of the discoveries he makes in this movie are from the films he makes and what he filmed with his family. The directing by Steven Spielberg is beautiful. This is a very well directed film. The sets and costume design felt very much part of the time period. The cinematography is also really beautiful. I would have I would have nominated this film for best cinematography. I wouldn't say it's as great as something like All Quiet on the Western Front, but this film was very much well shot. It has a bit of a grainy feel to it, and it did remind me a little bit of some of Spielberg's earlier 2000s films in the way it was lit with a bunch of spotlights everywhere, and it seemed like the daylight feels like a spotlight itself. There's a certain look to Spielberg that he likes that makes me go, "Oh, that's a Spielberg project," but it always looks good and feels very much part of his filmography and his style. That's what I love about it. So overall, great directing, great look into cinematography. The production design is great, but the story itself and the characters I found very engaging. I was able to relate to it a whole lot. Just overall, this is a film that I was able to feel the passion from Spielberg. I was able to feel that he wanted to tell this story for a long time, and for the most part, I think he did a very good job. The music by John Williams is also very much fantastic and sets the mood for each scene perfectly, especially the scene in which Michelle Williams' character is looking at a film that Sammy made for her to watch, and how that film very much affected her in just one shot. I love how Spielberg was able to linger on moments for the perfect amount of time and have you understand through a visual sense instead of telling you about what the characters are going through and what they're feeling. And it goes to show that visual storytelling is key to filmmaking, and Spielberg understood that perfectly here. Overall, I honestly can't think of any problems with this film. After many months watching it, I still think The Fabelmans is a fantastic film, and it's still, from my previous review on my main channel, The Fabelmans still gets an A+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.